Hey, what's up guys, Pattycakes here. So this video is going to be a little different than the normal ones that you see on my channel. This one's going to be a channel update video where I'm going to basically tell you my plans for the next 6 to 12 months of videos I'd like to create and just kind of the way that I see this channel evolving over time. I want to thank you so much for all the support lately. It's been insane to me that we are, I think, like 13,000 subscribers when I'm making this video, and a lot of those are just over the last couple months. So thank you so much for all the support. It's really, really awesome. The other thing I wanted to cover on this video is I'm going to answer all the questions you guys sent me both on YouTube and on Twitter, so that should be a lot of fun answering all those Ask Me Anything questions that you guys sent out. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is going to be just the channel direction and where I see this going. So number one is still going to be primarily a Destiny channel for the next several months. I love Destiny. I'm having a lot of fun with it still. I know we're in a little bit of a content drought, but I'm personally having a good time with it, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff to make. One of my biggest passions outside of directly gaming is I'm a huge tech nerd. I love trying out different mice, different keyboards. So one of the things I want to do on this channel is to start doing more gear reviews and tech reviews and start bringing out some of the things that I find really helpful when I'm gaming so that it can maybe help you guys out as well. As part of that, I also want to do a video where I show you guys my whole studio tour here. I've spent a lot of time over the last few months developing this whole room exactly how I'd like it to be my kind of YouTube streaming studio. So I know a lot of people have asked about that, and I'd like to make a video specifically just to show you everything that I've done with this room. I'm looking to start doing a lot more collaborations with other YouTubers. I've had a lot of fun lately doing videos with guys like Pattycakes and Ascendant Nomad, and I have a bunch more friends that I want to start including in some of my videos, so be looking for those as well. I think that'll be a lot of fun and a way to introduce you guys to maybe some people that you haven't met yet in the Destiny community. And finally, outside of just the Destiny world, I want to start making some more generalized FPS advice videos because I have a lot of ideas from different games I've played that I think translate really well into Destiny and whatever FPS games you might choose to play. And I think I can make a lot of cool content around that. So keep your eye out for some videos that are a little bit wider in scale. I think that'll be a fun way to introduce a little bit more variety in the channel, but still have it be mostly about FPS gaming. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into your questions. Okay, so let's start with the Twitter questions first because we just had a couple of those and then we'll move into YouTube next. So first, Marius here asks, general thoughts on the current sandbox and what needs to be changed with wards, of course, and what or should be changed in order to improve the sandbox as well as diversify viable weapon choices? Great question. So overall, I do think the sandbox is in a pretty good place right now. The main concerns I have are that I think there's a couple outliers like Antaeus wards and the Revoker giving ammo back that certainly need to be adjusted. The bigger thing for me though is that I really miss things like the hand cannons having a little bit more range. I think that they could at least go back somewhat closer to what it used to be. That would personally be a little bit better for me. And the thing that's a little bit more important to me personally, outside of just the sandbox itself, is all of the matchmaking systems. I don't know about for you guys, for me, if I solo queue, it can take me sometimes 10-15 minutes just to get a single game. When I do finally get that game, it's full of just super sweaty tryhard players, and nothing against them. I'm that way myself sometimes, but like often when I'm playing quick play, I just want to go in and chill and just have a good time and try some different loadouts and stuff, and I feel like there's not really a place for me to do that right now. So I'd like to see them greatly change the matchmaking system so that there's a lot more chill playlist and there's a little bit maybe less skill-based matchmaking in some of the ways that things are set up. I think in general there's just too many playlists right now, and they could really be consolidated into just something like a social playlist, a ranked playlist, trials, private matches, rumble, and maybe like a rotator, something like that. I think that would be a really good direction for the game. As far as a little bit more detail, I'd also like to see things like 140 RPM hand cannons get a little bit of love. I know those are just not very diversified from the 150s right now, and 110s are in a pretty rough state as well. And I'd also like to see them do a balance patch for some of the older exotics again. I really like that when they did that. I think it was 2 summers ago now, and it was really cool seeing some of the older exotics coming back into the fold, so I would like to see something like that happen again. Okay, so Zachary asks, if you can shape PvP Destiny for even just a little, what changes would you make and why? And then also, do you think PvE and PvP need separate balance as well? Okay, so some of that we kind of just touched on in the previous question. What I'll focus on here is the PvE versus PvP balance. I, for one, definitely think that these should be balanced separately. I think it's kind of interesting that people ask this because I do see this question a lot. To some level, it already is balanced separately because like if you use the hand cannon in PvE, you obviously do a certain amount of damage, and then in PvP, like a 150 does 68 to the head in optimal range. So there's obviously already a little bit of difference there with the different numbers. I'd like to see them take that a step further, and I think sometimes it's things like Antaeus wards, for example, like maybe they could be really strong still in PvE and really fun to use, but like in PvP, their effect is a lot toned down or something. Maybe it's less, I don't know, less protection, a shorter amount of slide animation protection, something like that. So I would definitely like to see them start balancing it separately. It is a little bit of a can of worms that you'd open there though, because you kind of want to balance PvP on PC with mouse and keyboard, maybe a little different than on controller PC and then on controller with console. So I don't know, I'm glad I'm not the one making all those decisions. It seems like a tough thing to figure out. Okay, the next question comes from my friend Bunsen. His question is, just one, do we win these? Yes, we win these. Okay, my friend Andy Wood, by the way, fantastic musician. If you haven't checked out Andy, I highly recommend you checking out his music. Talk about a top 3 wish list for Destiny. Okay, this is a great question. I would say for me, number 1 is definitely going to be a new fun PvE season. So Forsaken was probably my favorite season of all time in Destiny, probably followed by Taken King right after that. And I would just be so excited to have anything like that again. I don't think I've ever had as much fun as that month when Forsaken first came out, and we were just playing like, it felt like 24 hours a day, having so much fun. So personally, I would just love to have some huge PvE expansion that we're all super excited about. Wishlist item number 2 is actually something I covered in the first question. I'd really like to see them consolidate the PvP playlist a little bit and do something to tone down the skill-based matchmaking, or at least have some system where it was a little bit more social in nature. I'm feeling a little burnt out when I play just by myself sometimes, because it can take me forever to find a game, and then when I do finally find that game, it's just all top 1-ish% players, you know, using their sweatiest stuff, trying to stomp and teabag at each other. It's just, it gets a little draining. So I would really like to see just a kind of more social playlist where I can try kind of some goofy fun builds that you guys come up with and feel like I'm not letting my team down by trying something a little bit unorthodox. So third thing is actually something very specific that I've wanted for a long time in Destiny, and that is to have some sort of like a lever action rifle made by the Tex Mechanica company, and that's the guys who make like The Last Word and Chaperone, for example, in Destiny. I want a lever action rifle, and I don't know what it would be like, but I think it would be so much fun. No Land Beyond was one of my favorite weapons in Destiny 1. It was just so fun to play around with, and I want something kind of similar but different and new in Destiny 2. I think that would be so fun. If any of you guys have played the new Modern Warfare Call of Duty game recently, that MK2 in that game is exactly the type of thing I have my eye on. I think that would be so much fun in Destiny. Okay, now moving on to our YouTube questions. We have a bunch of these, so I'm going to try to get through them as quickly as I can. Okay, so first question. The Yerda asks, as one of the _cakes streamer dynasty members, we'd all like to know, what is your favorite cake? Okay, so there's a cake specific to the St. Louis, Missouri area called a gooey butter cake. I don't know if it's technically a cake or more like a dessert, but it's basically like a really soft, gooey, buttery cake. The legend goes that they basically reversed the butter and flour or something like that when they made it, and it made it like all gooey instead of like soft. And it's delicious. It's probably the worst thing you could possibly eat, but it's really good. So that's probably my favorite cake. Next question from You're Probably Autistic asks, what's your favorite game mode, favorite class, subclass, favorite PvE exotic, PvP exotic, most hated class, subclass to play, and most hated subclass or weapon to play against. Okay, so going through these one by one quickly. Favorite game mode, definitely Clash. I love just the simple team deathmatch. It's always been my favorite thing. Favorite class, subclass would be Hunter. Subclass probably is Bottom Tree, Arcstrider, or Spectral Blades. I love both those. They're probably the ones I play the most. Favorite PvE exotic is probably 1K Voices. Something about that thing is just so fun. I love just shooting across the room and seeing everything blow up. I also really like Xenophage right now. I think it's a lot of fun, but probably one of the two of those currently. Favorite PvP exotic would definitely be Chaperone. I love the Chaperone. I think it's one of the most fun weapons in the entire game if you can get a good shot with it. Most hated class or subclass to play against, I would say definitely Titans. I know some of you guys are Titan mates out there. I have PTSD from playing against Titans in Season 3. The subclass to play against, I'm going to go back in time a little bit and answer this from the perspective of like a Season 3, Season 4, which was against the Defender Titan that had the bubble. I forget which tree, I guess top tree, I think. And that one was so frustrating. People would run around with Syntheseps and punch you and get their overshield and have the Syntheseps buff where they could keep just one punching all of your teammates while you couldn't do anything against it. It was the most frustrating time to play against any particular subclass, in my opinion, in Destiny. Most hated exotic or weapon to play against. Currently it would probably be Antaeus wards. That I think they'll get adjusted at some point soon. Otherwise, I don't really hate to play against anything in particular. It's more about the playstyle. I don't like people who like sit back and 3-peek the whole game in trials and stuff like that. So I'd say probably Antaeus Wards if I had to pick one item. Okay, next question. Neil Dev says, congrats on 10k, been here since 7k, thank you so much, appreciate it. What's your opinion on Bungie making you play 100 hours and maybe add a paywall before going into trials? Is the 100 hours and potential paywall too much? Heard this from Aztecross video, not sure if it's 100% true or whatever. Okay, cool. So first of all, I love the direction of making trials harder to get into. I think we've probably all, at least on PC, experienced quite a few cheaters, and it's just really frustrating to play against. Personally, I don't think 100 hours is the right way to go about solving the problem. I do like the idea of it, but I think a better solution would be to make someone get like a certain percentage of the way through the season pass. Maybe that's like rank 50 or rank 100. I'm not really sure like what the right balance is there, but some sort of like an activity based metric that you need to get through. Because the problem with just going with the straight hours approach is that people can just AFK macro and get that 100 hours, maybe even multi-box where they have multiple sessions of the game going with different accounts open and just AFK their way through all of them. So I don't really think that's a great way to stop potential cheaters. I think it should be more of an investment thing where you actually have to play the game to get to a certain point. Okay, Lucky asks, what's your favorite FPS and what is your favorite single player game of all time? I would say favorite FPS, I'm gonna list a couple of my top ones and I'll have to try to make a decision. Definitely on my list would be Counter-Strike. I grew up playing Counter-Strike as a little kid. If I was ever going to go pro in any game, it would have been Counter-Strike. I played in tournaments, I played in leagues, and that was really my favorite game for a long time. I also was a big fan of the Halo franchise. I started with Halo 1, used to have 16-man LAN parties back in the day, and it was so fun. And two of my other favorite FPS games go a little bit further back with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. I loved playing those on N64, some of my favorite gaming experiences. As far as single player games, that's a tough one for me. The one that comes to mind would be Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I love that game. It was probably the most mind-blowing game when I first played it, and I was just obsessed with it. So I think I'm gonna go with that one. Next question is from Brave Hero. Looking forward to the video. Congrats on 10k. Thank you so much, buddy. By the way, if you haven't checked out Brave Hero, another great Destiny content creator, highly recommend his channel. Q&A time. How do you stay focused on anything, improving and doing YouTube? So I have a very driven personality, but only when it's stuff that I truly care about, and it's really hard for me to fake that. So I've had in my career, I used to be a mechanical engineer. I decided I didn't really like doing that much, and I started my own business. I had a marketing company that went pretty successful for a while, and then I kind of got burned out on that and decided to put that on the side for a while and get into this whole content creation, YouTube, Twitch thing. So all of those things I was super laser focused on while I was doing it, but like if you ask me to do it now, it's like pulling teeth to get me to do something I'm not into. So that's kind of like a good and a bad thing. It's good because like I love YouTube right now. I can literally spend all day just thinking and talking about YouTube, but it's really fun for me. But I have to really focus on things that I'm just intrinsically interested in, and it's really hard for me to focus on things that I'm just not into. So I don't know if that answers your question exactly, but that's just sort of my personality and how it works. I know some people are great at focusing on things that they're not into, and I struggle with it a lot. I have to be like intrinsically into whatever I'm trying to focus on. Okay, next question is from Castle is Live, another good friend of mine, another great content creator. Definitely check out Castle's channel if you haven't yet. He says, congrats buddy, what's the first game you were ever hooked on? For myself, I thought Halo 1, but realistically it was probably Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Okay, so this goes like way back. My first gaming console ever that I personally owned was a Super Nintendo, and my favorite game on Super Nintendo was Mega Man X. I love Mega Man. It was one of my favorite games of all time. Probably arguably my other favorite single player game if I was to not pick Ocarina of Time earlier. So I would have to probably go with Mega Man for that. I love the whole Mega Man X series, one of my favorite series of all time. Okay, next question is from Apathetic. He says, congrats on 10k man, may the next 10k be even faster, keep it up. Apathetic's another fantastic content creator. Definitely check out his YouTube channel if you haven't yet. He doesn't have a question, so thank you. Appreciate it, man. Okay, next question is from Rajesh. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Let me know if I butchered it in the comments. What do you think about the auto rifle meta in general? Personally, I have never been good with snipers, so for me at least, I like pairing an auto rifle with spare rations or a kindled orchid. What do you think? So I actually really do like the auto rifle meta right now, but I still think that at the highest level, hand cannons still tend to dominate. And the reason is that hand cannons pair with the Destiny movement so well, where you can peek shot in between cover and go out and get full damage and then peek back behind cover and be safe. Auto rifles, you really have to fully commit to a fight. You have to get out into the open and basically spray someone down before they're able to get to cover. So I think auto rifles tend to work well at the slightly middle to lower end of the skill spectrum, and when it goes all the way up to the highest players, I think hand cannons still dominate. With that said though, Suros is one of my favorite guns to use in the game right now. I really personally enjoy it. It's nice to have something that feels viable in quick play, so I'm digging it. It's been a fun change for me so far. As far as pairing it with a double primary system, that's cool. I used to do that as well, obviously back in the day, and then even since then I still occasionally run double primary, but I just think with special weapons being so powerful right now, it's pretty tough to not run at least one special weapon with your primary because everyone else pretty much has one, and it's tough to not have a one-shot weapon to protect yourself, whether that's a sniper, fusion, shotgun, etc. Okay, my buddy Sal asks, what is your favorite moment in time since you've been playing games? I would say there's two that come to mind. Number one is back, as I mentioned earlier, in the Halo 1 days. I used to have 16-man LAN parties at my parents' house when I was in high school, and we would have everyone come over to the house, bring pizzas and soda, and set up 4 Xboxes that were all LAN linked together and play 16-man like capture the flag and everything for like, I don't know, 8-10 hours straight. It was amazing. Some of the most fun gaming memories of my entire life. The other one's actually probably from Destiny 1, which was running the Vault of Glass for the first time. I ran it with 3 of my best friends that I knew growing up, and then 2 of their friends who also both became good friends of mine after a little while. It was just so much fun. I've never really played an MMO game before Destiny, and so that was like the first time that I really experienced a raid and what that's all about. So I have to say Vault of Glass on Destiny 1, top gaming experience. Okay, next question. Juan Marco says, congratulations, love your videos on dealing with tilt and aiming, thank you very much. And I've been able to put them into practice. Hope you continue to make more of that type of content. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. Hey, thank you so much. Not a question, but I do appreciate it. Okay, next question from the Doms. Congrats on 10K, bro. Very well deserved. Keep doing what you do, and I'm sure you'll be celebrating the next 10K. Thank you very much. Onwards and upwards. Thank you. Okay, next question is from Kat. How did you start your channel and grow to 10K? Congrats, man. Here's to another 10. So for me personally, I started actually on Twitch. I was streaming just because a couple of my really good friends encouraged me to stream all the time. They always wanted to watch me play PvP, and so I started doing it about a year and a half ago now, and I really enjoyed Twitch, but I kept getting the same questions all the time when I was streaming, and so I was like, well, if some people have this question, maybe more people will have it, and I could just make a video so that I can direct people to my content on YouTube instead of having to answer the same question over and over. And what I found is that I really liked making the videos. It was an opportunity for me to sit down and script out all of my thoughts on a topic and then create kind of like this artistic expression of like what's in my head, and people seem to really like it. So I've actually grown to like YouTube just as much, if not more, than streaming sometimes. So that's kind of been my thing. As far as like tactical, it's a slow and steady race. I think with YouTube, it's about putting out the best content you can on a regular basis. Try to do it at least weekly if you can. That's been my goal anyway. And just know that it's a long-term fight. It's not one that you can't tend to grow from 0 to 1 million right away. It's a battle unless you get some viral hit, I guess. Okay, next question is from Papatur07. What's your favorite game, movie, and music band? Great question. Well, favorite game I would probably say is actually Destiny. I really love the Destiny franchise. I don't know if I really have a favorite movie. The one that comes to mind when I think of this question is usually Shawshank Redemption. I just really like that movie. I like any sort of psychological thriller type movie. That tends to be my favorite genre. And music band is an easy one for me. My favorite band is named Dream Theater. They're like a progressive rock or metal band. I was actually lucky enough to meet the head guitarist John Petrucci from that band a couple times now, and I went to his guitar camp a couple years ago, which was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my entire life. So definitely got to go with Dream Theater for that. Isaiah asks, first game you've ever played. When I was a very, very young kid, I actually had an Atari from like a friend of my mom's that I used to play with, and I don't even remember what games I played exactly, so it's probably technically something on that. The first game I ever really remember playing was this original Super Mario Bros. On my cousin's Nintendo system. That was slightly before I actually owned my own console, and so that was probably my first game I truly remember playing. Senior Weebus says, Pattycakes equals GOAT. Thank you. And final question here, Matthew says, do you think hardlight or even auto rifles in general need a small nerf? I don't think that auto rifles in general need a big nerf. I think it's more about hardlight specifically was a little bit overtuned. And really, it's just its ability to hit people behind walls that I think is so incredibly strong. So I'm glad that it got a little bit of a change, and I'm curious to see like how that plays out after a while. So anyway, I appreciate you guys all so much for all the support lately. It's been really, really fun. I love making videos like this, and maybe I can do another one in the future whenever we hit another big milestone or something. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, and hopefully we get to play some games together soon, and I guess that's all for now. Catch you later. Bye-bye.